for me, and this is, once again, this is no offense to um, players that play amps that have a very heavy metal look, but because there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. For me personally, I like stuff that would not look out of place on any stage you put it on. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm actually saying that right, but I thought that the Carvin V3 was a very versatile amp, and out of all the amps I've had in the last couple of years, which has been a lot, some very expensive, some not so expensive, I thought some of the most versatile. Now mind you, when I say versatile, that doesn't mean that it was the best sounding amp. There were other amps out there that sounded better than these amps, but those amps could not cover as much tonal territory convincingly as these amps. If you play a lot of different things, sometimes it's better to have an amp that sounds maybe not perfect doing everything, but sounds really good in a lot of different applications, and then it allows you to have a really good sound doing a lot of really different types of music, as opposed to having one amp that sounds really great doing one thing, not so great doing another. Honorable mention on that, I thought that the Carvin V3 was really good at that. I thought that the Egnator Tourmaster was really good. That amp had some reliability issues, that's why I didn't keep mine, although I will go on record and say my Egnator Tourmaster never broke on me, but after having a couple of friends whose did die, I did get kind of leery and I pulled the trigger. I thought that was a very versatile amp and a very good sounding amp, and if they worked the bugs out of it, that's a good way to go too. I also thought that the Mesa Boogie Mark V was a very versatile amp. It could cover a lot of tonal territory. I wasn't for myself that happy with its metal sound, but I loved the rock and the blues and the clean tones I could get out of the Mark V. And I also thought that the Blackstar HT Club 40 I thought was a very versatile amp. I would dare to say that the Blackstar HT Club 40 was as versatile as this amp, and tonally for certain applications was better. But the thing that the Blackstar HT Club 40 fell short on is that on the clean channel, two things actually. On the clean channel, it only had a tone knob, and I really like having control of my mids on my clean channel. The way that clean channel was set up, it sounded very good. You just didn't have a lot of flexibility as far as if you wanted to tweak it, and that was the thing about that amp that I didn't like. And also, because it was a 112 combo, I was never able to get it to sound as big as I really wanted it to in my low end Blossom, in my, when I did the metal stuff, when I palm mute, I really like a really big thump in your chest, chun chun chun, chug, and I wasn't able to really get that out of that without adding a lot of outboard gear. But the main reason that I went with the Carvin was, for a while now, my all-time favorite guitar sound or guitar tone has really been this pedal on a clean channel. This is a Tone Technologies triple drop. The other point of the Carvin V3 was, for me, is I was able to actually get the exact sound of this pedal on the Carvin V3 without the pedal. So that allowed me to be able to get the one thing I've always wanted, which was still have this sound. I used this on the clean channel, was to still have this sound, but to also have a high gain version a really high gain version of this pedal, and by setting up the tone matrix to match the pedal and then just turning the gain up on the amp, I have that. Or even if I want, I can turn the gain down to where this matches this and then use it as a boost to still have a higher gain version of this pedal, and I still have the basic tone that I fell in love with this pedal. So that was that was the biggest selling point for the amp, was that it sounds like the pedal, and it's my favorite pedal. And once you find your sound, you'll find that, once you find your sound, everything else kind of falls by the wayside. The price of the item, the brand recognition, all these things mean nothing. You can't hear a brand. I'm not going to get up on my soapbox, but buying gear by the price tag or buying gear by the name that's on it is awesome if you're trying to impress the other guys in the room. But if you're trying to please yourself, close your eyes, blind yourself to salespeople bullcrap, and buy gear based on your ear. Okay, done with that. I bought the V3, and the V3 was extremely versatile. Like some of those other amps we were talking about, they were extremely versatile. But the thing is that the V3 had a very distinctive metal look. And that's what I didn't like. I don't like amps that look like they play a particular style of music. With a big, metal grill on it, it may not look quite, it doesn't necessarily translate in the opposite direction. Sometimes things do look, very heavy metal, and I just don't think it, I just don't like that. I like it to have a look where it can do anything. So, anyway, at that point, I ran down to a fabric shop here in Greensboro I think it's called Joanne. Took and pulled all the Tolex off, sanded the wood down, applied this cloth, created a baffle, got a piece of wood, made a baffle, covered the baffle in the with the black cloth. The cloth has kind of a suede feel to it, and I liked it. My son commented that he thought it looked like a Dr. Z amp, and which wasn't a bad thing. I think Dr. Z has a nice aesthetic. I'm not sure I agree, but I thought Dr. Z had a nice aesthetic. Two things that I had a problem with at this point was, one, it's missing something. It's very plain here. Even though I wanted the amp to have a more genre crossing look, I didn't want to take away the complete identity of the amp. And that's what I felt like I had done when I did that. I was like, no one will look at that and know that this is a Carvin V3. And that's almost like I'm ashamed that it's a V3, which I'm not. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. I want people to know that it's a V3. I want people to know that I think the V3 is a pretty cool amp. So what we did next is we broke out another piece of wood. We used a jigsaw and a drill and some stain, and I made one of these grills that looks just like this, but instead of it being chrome, I made it out of wood and stained it to kind of go with this aesthetic. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put on the new grill and see what you guys think. And so that was what we did. What I think this does for the amp that the black one did not is I think it softens up the metal look of the metal grill. I think that because the color with the green, that the walnut stained wood in the grill green go together to make a very nice aesthetic that looks less metal but still retains this is a V3 look. This took a while to do, but I'll give you the basics. I didn't take videos of what I did, but I'll give you the basics of what I did. I took the piece of wood that I had, and I bolted this to it using the screws from the V3. I bolted that to it. I then placed holes at each one of these, at the top and bottom of each one of these each one of these vents. I put a drill hole at the top and the bottom of each vent, and I put a drill hole in the corners of each one of these openings. And then I took the jigsaw and cut all this out. Now, it would have came out a lot neater and looked a lot better had I had a router, but I didn't. So then after I did that, I then sanded it and I stained it. And that in a nutshell is it. So just to revisit what we've done here, we removed all the hardware, pulled the Tolex off, sanded it down, took some cloth that I went and picked out at a fabric shop, applied it using glue, put all the hardware back on, then fabricated this wooden faceplate using the metal faceplate basically as a stencil or a guide. Fashioned this, cut it all out, and reattached it. And this is what I consider my less metal looking Carvin V3. But anyway, I'm Gillen H2O, and this has been Gear Review, and this is my newly refinished Carvin V3 amplifier.